Hello and welcome back to the next One Piece review and discussion. We are finally here in the next installment. The breaks are finished now and we are moving swiftly along with these chapters. Vegapunk is still not finished with what he's got to say, and we see a lot of old faces, shall we say, in this chapter that I wasn't quite expecting. So without further ado, chapter 1117, Mo. Now, I don't think this is the name, I think it is an unfinished word because there's a little hyphen afterwards as well. So that's all we get as our title. But cover story, continuing on with Oni Child Yamato's pilgrimage. They are now meeting with obviously the world of the Yakuza, and we have got Neko Mamushi and Hyogoro just, embracing Yamato, old friends at this point now. So it seems fairly nice getting to see all the familiar faces of Wano. But last we had left off, we had got Vegapunk's message blaring around the world along with everyone's reaction. And whilst it was going, York had realised that the transponder snail that was broadcasting this signal was being protected by the robot. And at this time, we had the revelation from Vegapunk himself that Roger's crew, the Pirate King's crew, have known this history of the Void Century. They know everything. And yet, they kept it a secret. Why didn't they act? Was, I think, what Vegapunk was saying. And we pick back up from the people's reaction from around the world, and we come back to Hachinosu, the pirate island, and all everyone is doing is freaking out, saying there's a bunch of buried treasure down on the ocean floor. We've got to go and get it. Could you imagine like a city of gold? And it is in this shot that all the speculation is around, but it's pretty much like everyone thinks it is. We see Jin and Krieg in the background. So obviously Jin, way back at the Baratier, made his statement to Sanji to say, tell your captain I'll see him in the future. I'll see him on the Grand Line. He's now on the pirate island. He's been making waves and making a name for himself. He's now literally living or surviving on the pirate island. So be interesting to see when he comes back into the fold. But while everyone is in this uproar, we see a shot of underwater, all these derelict buildings that are sunk, fishes and mermaids under there still. And the conversation is, it's ludicrous to go down there. Not only is it 200 metres down, you've got to contend with all of the sea beasts as well. Like, you're never gonna, you'd have more luck trying to charm a mermaid, one pirate was saying. But a valid response is there are ships that can dive now. The whole reason Sabaody is there and what Rayleigh's been doing is coating ships so that they can go underwater. So the man who knows everything, who knew the world was going to sink, goes into the business of coating ships so that they can breathe underwater. Smart man, really. But on the topic of diving and going underwater, we of course have to go and see what the Sarayama Alliance are up to. Yes, Mont Blanc himself and his crew of divers are somewhere in the Grand Line, and they're talking about how lovely and romantic it sounds, even before Nolan's time it was, who's up for another diving expedition, who's ready to go. So that was a pretty nice touch to see them. But we jump away. They only get a brief shot because we come over to the Navy General Hospital. So somewhere in the New World, we have obviously got Kobe and the rest of the Sword members being looked after and recuperating after what happened at Hachinosu. So Hibari's there, Prince Groose, Helmeppo, Kujaku, they're all within a room listening to this broadcast and talking about what is happening. And poor Kobe is like bandaged up and he's like, I'll have to write everything down later because it's hard to keep track of everything that's happening here. But I just need to, like, I'm going to pass out. And Helmeppo's like, do you think this is all like leading to like the One Piece, like what we're all talking about? And Kobe's like, look, everything's coming to a head now. This is all happening. And Prince Groose is like, yeah, we're going to get some pretty hard answers soon. But Kujaku's like, we're not going to be the ones to like take it easy. You know, it's our turn now to step up. So all pretty cool and all interesting. This internal conflict that could arise within the Marines, learning all this information, especially though the world government has been involved. I think certain members are going to start defecting or an uprising. But we do see in a private chamber off from the group is Drake. So he's all bandaged, he's recovering, and he is just listening to Vegapunk's message. And somewhere a long way in the New World, driving across the ocean itself, is indeed Smoker on his chopper, just arms folded, using the smoke to billow the bike across the waves, because why can't he? And he's talking to Tashigi, and it is literally just him saying, where are you? And she's like, oh, I'm at the General Hospital. So Tashigi is there with all the other Sword members, and he must be going to meet them. He's also carrying cargo. We don't know what, but behind his bike is like a block or something with an X on it. Could it be a poneglyph that he's just like dragging along? Don't think he could. It's quite heavy, but he's certainly ferrying something with him. Something of importance, because why would Smoker be doing it regardless? But it seems like he's going to go meet up with everyone. And we come back to the continuation of Vegapunk's message, where he says, right, I've been quite vague, okay, but I can only really add to like more speculation now. So as he's continuing, we return to Egghead, where the barrier, the frontier dome, is starting to lift. So the group aboard the Sunny, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, Lilith, are all ready, you know, Brooks there as well, to leave. And the main concern currently is, how are they going to land on the Elbaf ship? How are they going to land on the giant ship? They've got the cloud coverage now from what Edison did to move the clouds away from the island. They've stopped stretching now. And Usopp's like, it's more than enough. We should be able to reach the sea. We've just got to be careful where we aim. And Brook has said, right, all the cola barrels are ready. We are go for launch. Where are Zoro and Jinbei? And they are closing in. Jinbei is still talking on the transponder, like comms to them. And they've just spotted a strange monster also heading in that direction. Interesting. However, this huge centaur-like creature gallops ahead and reaches the Sunny first. And something about his presence is special and unsettling. And we see everyone's reaction to, he is one of the 5 elders. Juro himself has reached the clouds. We knew he was coming up after he sliced the lab in half. He is coming to cut down the Sunny. And as he draws the blade, we get the tag team of the year. Jinbei, without hesitation, uses Fishman Jiu-Jitsu and shoulder throws Zoro. He just because Zoro was already up here on his shoulder, so all he had to do was move his arm and just catapult Zoro towards the blade. And with sheer instinct, Zoro uses his ultimate two-sword style move, the Rishoma. He blocks Nosjuro's blade as it's mid-swing. So both swords clash with Nosjuro's singular long sword. This sword's huge as well. I think it has somehow been affected by his transformation and has grown with his size, because the shots of when he's a human in the Five Elder room, it's his body length. But this sword is massive in this dude's hand. And as they clash, he spots that Zoro's blade is a Katetsu blade. So, obviously, we all pretty much know, it hasn't been confirmed, but it's pretty obvious that Nosjuro will have the first Katetsu blade, as Zoro's got the Sandai. But as they clash, a explosion sends them both flying away from the Sunny, and Jinbei with the recovery catches Zoro and resets, and they're running, and they just tell Nami just leave, launch the ship, we'll find a way down, we can't waste any more time. So pretty cool clash. This is going to be the final fight for Zoro, unless he fights someone from Blackbeard's crew or obviously Mihawk. This has to be one of his final opponents. The sword-wielding 5 Elder member, Nosjuro himself, with a Katetsu blade. Still going to be impressive. But we come back down now to the coast of Egghead, where everyone is aboard the Elbaf ship. Bonnie and Sanji and everyone are right, where's Luffy, where's the Straw Hat? We've got to go. We can't keep the Marines at bay any longer. And it's in the fighting and the flames that have taken the coast that we hear Luffy's voice say, "Get ready to set sail. We're here." So I'm pretty sure within the next 2, if not 3 chapters, we will have left Elbaf. Luffy has declared it. The captain's orders. We're ready to set sail. So there's no mistaking it. Sanji saying that's the captain's voice. We leave now. And it is also Dory and Broggy who shout to Omo and Kashi to say, look, get the shit ready. We gotta go. So as the other giants fend off the other Marines, the giant ship begins to depart into the waves. So everyone seems to be on full defense mode now to help get the ship out. And we see Bluegrass step up saying we are the paragon of justice. We cannot, take this sitting down. Don't settle for just being a faceless member of the crowd, because obviously she is a vice admiral. She's pretty strong, but with her ride fruit, she is using one of the weaponized sea beasts to blow a hole in the Viking ship and just try and annihilate it. But our Elbafians are made of hardier stuff, so we'll see how the ship lasts. But she did punch a hole in it. And then obviously, just out of nowhere, Doll rocks up with a full hackeyed fist and does a rock and roll blaster as she just pummels into one of the giants, absolutely annihilates him. So she can go toe to toe with a giant. And as everyone's saying, these are the vice admirals for a reason. They are made of sturdier stuff. So as this full escalation now of trying to leave Egghead is happening, Luffy, back in regular form now, looks back and is like, wait, the boar, it's gone. It was just behind us like a second ago. And Dory and Broggy are like, that's fine with us. Like, we just want to leave. We're ready to set sail, high tide, let's just get out of here. Less of a problem for us. But you are right, like, does beg the question, where's he gone? And we return to, obviously, with the revelation that the Iron Giant is holding the transponder snail. 4 of the 5 elders are surrounding the giant. And before Vegapunk's message continues, it is Marcus Mars in his, bird form who's like, it's not possible. That is the robot, that Iron Giant, the very one that attacked us 200 years ago in Marijois. There's no doubt about it. So, pretty intense stuff. They seem pretty pissed that Vegapunk kept it. But Vegapunk himself is imparting his final message, the last thing he needs to get off his chest. And he says there are those of you scattered around the world that carry with you the letter D in your name. And we get a individual couple of shots of characters we know with D in the name. So we see Dragon, there's Sabo, who looks and thinks about Ace and Luffy. So does Kobe as well. Does Kobe have it? We obviously see Blackbeard. And we do get confirmation because we see Beppo. And he is like, Captain, that they are safe somewhere. So obviously we had the fallout between Law and Blackbeard just outright beat Law. But Law and Beppo managed to escape. It seems now that because Beppo's bandaged up a bit, that they're somewhere safe and recovering. So they're not completely out yet. So they're probably going to return at some point. But Beppo is shouting for Law, who is also probably listening to this message as well. And at that moment, Vegapunk says, among you, there is Mo. And in that moment, the transmission cuts. As Valkyrie, in a blazing bull rush, charges the Iron Giant over and just crushes it to the lifts it off the ground and sends it flying. And we don't get the rest of the message. Nothing else comes through. We don't know what he was trying to say. But he was trying to say that among the people who have the D in the initial, there's something about those individuals that must have something or are destined for something or something we are not privy to finding out just yet, as Oda wants to keep the cards a little bit more hidden. But as the Iron Giant falls, I thought it'd stand a bit more, to be honest, but unfortunately not. We see reactions of Vivi, for example, who's like, what was he about to say? They're talking about the letter D, the transmission's over, has it been jammed? And all we get is a shot of York within the lab on her knees saying, it's finally over. And that is where the chapter ends. A pretty impressive chapter. We were this close to finding out a bit more about the letter D, but unfortunately, Oda doesn't want to give us that information. But we got to see some of the Vice Admirals in action. We got to see Jin. We got to see Zoro clash blades with Nos Juro. And mind you, It was only 2 sword style as well. He didn't bring out his third blade. So I'd love to. I can't wait for that fight. Nosturo is going to be a tough opponent. But yeah, judging from Luffy's declaration to set sail as well, I think that's a big indicator as within the next chapter or two even, everyone will be regrouped on the giant ship and will be leaving for Elbaf. Whether the 5 elders are going to stick around or leave or, get more involved, have they played their hand? Is Eam going to actually do something? All a lot of questions that need answering. But the best thing about it is that there is no break next week. So we can continue right on. So let me know what you guys saw of the chapter. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.